ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It's Hoist the Colors on a Friday, May 23rd edition of the show. Pirates are on to the AAC tournament semifinals. They take down Charlotte 6-5 on Thursday evening to improve to 2-0 in the American tournament and are one win away from advancing to the title game, where it will be a winner-take-all on Sunday if they can get that done. Excited about today's show. We are live in the 94.3 The Game studios. Feels like we spent a lot of time here this week. That's because we have. The 2 watch-alongs in the books and 2 wins. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Appreciate everybody. We had over 2,000 views for last night's watch-along and counting at last check, first thing this morning. So appreciate everybody tuning in. A lot of winners we gave away. A lot of comments, and I know a lot of people excited in Pirate Nation right now. So leave a comment today. We'll get to it over the course of the next hour. Bobby Harward is back in studio. He was a member of Tuesday's watch-along for the win over South Florida. He's back today for his usual Friday appearance presented by Basil's. Bobby, how you doing?
Doing well. Beautiful weather outside. Glad the Pirates have taken care of business just exactly like we had said they needed to have a chance to continue that streak of making a regional. So hopefully they've set themselves up as good as you can ask. And I feel like, honestly, for the most part, pitching's in really good shape too. So excited to see how these matchups unfold here today in the American Conference Tournament and see who will play on Saturday.
There's no doubt it's a scenario that we all kind of said had to happen. And ECU right now off to a good start, having won their first 2. All right, we have Philip Pilkington behind the glass. Philip, how's it going?
I'm good, guys. We're 2-0. How could I not be doing good?
This is true. How could you not be doing good?
We're 2-0, and the Red Sox are going to go 2-0 against the Orioles today, and then we doing better.
There's a good chance.
I forgot to bring that up. Bobby Harward has come in clad in Orioles gear. They win 1 game, and you're back.
Hey, we had lost 8 straight. We needed that victory, and that Adley Rutschman hit a home run, allowed us. Hopefully, maybe he could get his mojo back a little bit. We're going to Boston today. I'd like to confidently say we'd win 4 games, but I know that's not going to happen tonight. We're throwing Trevor Rogers, who is cheeks, and he's throwing the second game of the doubleheader. But honestly, we won yesterday, but we had the lead in the 9th, blew it in the 9th, had the lead in the 10th, blew it in the 10th, finally won it in the 11th.
Might as well make it as dramatic as possible. That's really what counts. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with our Twitter stream, which is why I'm kind of distracted. It's going, but it says scheduled, so I'll try to figure that out as the show progresses. Either way, we're live on Facebook and X. And let's get into yesterday's game, guys. Pirates win it 6-5, and, they can never do it without some drama. And 6-3 going into the bottom of the 9th. Jake Hunter, we kind of asked the question on the watch-along, all right, if you get into trouble here, do you stay with your senior Jake Hunter? I think the overwhelming consensus was going into the inning was yes. Now, when he gave up a couple of hits, not a ton of hard contact, but when he gave up a couple of hits, people were like, all right, time to get somebody else in there. But Pirates stuck with him, and he gets the strikeout. Borderline pitch goes ECU's way. Got a few text messages that it was off the plate, but, hey, too close to take. And I like riding with your senior there, Bob, because everything's on the line for him.
Well, and I'll say people that want to complain about the pitch being off the plate, let's go back to the second inning, a strike 3 called that wasn't made for Lance Williams, and that led to a 3 runs scored in that inning, a big time home run for the Niners. But I love the confidence from Cliff Godwin. First off, congratulations to him for breaking the record, most wins in ECU program
Absolutely.
history. And then on top of that, to show confidence in a guy like Jake Hunter, it was really cool watching. I just knocked off my sunglasses. It was really cool watching that you actually had called each pitch before it came. You called off speed. He threw off speed off the plate. You called 2 high heaters, and he threw 2 high heaters, and that was kind of how it unfolded.
Right.
So are you sending the tracker into AK, or what's going on here?
I just feel like I've watched Jake Hunter throw enough pitches at this point to have a good feel for his arsenal when he is going well. It is the elevated fastball, and then his fastball jumps on guys, and the slider is his put-away pitch. Now, the earlier in that at-bat, the guy had fouled off, I think, the 0-1 slider, and he was right on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like on TV, he lined it up the middle,
Yeah.
And so I was wary of throwing another slider. By the way, we are live on X now. And so I was worried about it. I liked that they went back to the fastball back-to-back and then finished it back with the breaking ball. And, look, I have seen much worse calls in a college baseball game. I don't think it was, terrible. Was it off the plate? Probably, but, look at the 2021 Super Regional in Nashville. Kumar Rocker was getting, half a foot off the plate. So I'm not going to complain too much.
And here's the other thing I'd say about it. If that happened in the 6th inning, it would kind of not even be thought of. It would be an afterthought. Because it ended the game, obviously, it raises some concern there. I tell you what, the play of Riley Johnson last night.
Insane, man.
I mean, it really makes you question what this team could have been. And not to say it would have been added 10 wins and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, we kind of talked about it Tuesday night. Is he a 4 or 5 WAR player in the sense of adding a few more wins to your team?
Philip, what stood out to you last night outside of the watch along, of course, and the Basil's Pizza?
I think it's just the fact. I was talking to my dad last night after the game. It was just this team looks like the team that we're supposed to have been all year, and we've seen glimpses of it, a game in, and a game here, a game there. But now that you've put back-to-back games together, where it wasn't pretty at the end, but there's been plenty of times. Thinking that 20-game win streak a few years back, every game was pretty, heck no. And it finally just looks like, hey, we go out there, regardless of who we're putting out on the mound, they're throwing competitive pitches, we're moving runners, we're finding ways to score, we're not stranding the bases loaded. I mean, yesterday we get the bases loaded, we don't get more hits, but at least we found 2 runs. We're making great catches in the outfield. This just looks like Pirate baseball.
Cliff Godwin said post-game that they weren't even sure that Riley Johnson was going to play due to the hamstring. And, I mean, you would never know it. The catch he almost made in the 9th inning was incredible. He had 2 diving catches, and then he almost made that grab. So I was just in awe. And, man, it was a fun time in the watch-along, watching the Pirates win. Some other heroes, John Collins, again, with 3 hits, and we've seen him have a lot of success early in counts. Now he's starting to let the ball travel, do some damage with 2 strikes, which is good to see. Dixon Williams, again, had 2 hits and 2 runs scored. Colby Wallace, efficient day at the plate, 2 for 2 with a walk, also reached via a hit by pitch. And, they did make some mistakes. Brad Pruitt got away with a couple leadoff walks, and then Dixon had a couple errors. But in the past, when that adversity had hit this season, it's sometimes that had been their downfall. So I do give them credit. You do want to see them clean up the defense going into the weekend, but just it says a lot that Pruitt, Hunter, those guys were able to overcome those potential downfalls.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Pruitt was in a jam there, and he picks the guy off at second base,
Yeah, that was
massive. I mean, to your point, and you mentioned it earlier, talking through the middle of the lineup. I mean, and Philip just mentioned it, our lineup is hitting like we expected our lineup to hit, and those middle of the lineup guys, 3 through 6, are producing. I mean, you got 2 hits, 3 hits, 2 hits from 3 of those 4 guys is huge. We overcame adversity in really multiple ways last night, not just fielding and errors, but some pitching situations and putting ourselves in tight jams and finding ways to get out of it. It looked like a team that knew how to win last night, and that was the encouraging thing.
All right, we got some questions in the chat. Chuck says, jumping the gun a bit, if we get to the title game, who would you rather play, UTSA or Tulane? It's a good question. Look, I think the better question, and we'll get to that, Chuck, who would you rather play, South Florida or Charlotte on Saturday? Do you guys have any preference?
Philip, you want to start?
South Florida. I think that we talked about it on the show. Charlotte's pitching staff, 2 through 9, you're probably getting the same guy. I think they're deeper. I think they have a better chance to beat you twice in the same day, just solely because they don't walk a lot of guys. South Florida, not that their staff is bad by any means, but I do think, they're kind of in the same bucket as most teams, right? It's like they've got 6 guys they trust. Their 7-8-9 guy could have a case of the free 90s. So I just by that, I'm gonna say I'd rather play South Florida.
I think I'd rather play South Florida as well. Johnny is in the chat. He says Charlotte, and I will get to his answer in a minute. You know, South Florida, the pitching depth is just not there. You've got Corey Braun, who they may even bring back today. I mean, he only threw 30-something pitches, maybe more than that, maybe close to 40, but he did not throw a lot in the opening game on Tuesday. He's their ace. He's really good. Their number 2 guy is Jack Nedro. He threw well over 100 pitches, 7 1/3 innings on Wednesday. So, I mean, if he were to come back Saturday, he could probably throw very, very limited if he could come back at all. After that, major drop-off with their bullpen arms. And they have some guys who have been trending up towards the end of the year, but you look at their overall numbers, they are striking out less than one guy per inning. They do throw a lot of strikes. You're going to have to hit the ball. But right now, ECU's hitting the ball. And the ball carries in Clearwater. So if I have a chance to have a pitch-to-contact staff that is already kind of worn down, I would prefer South Florida. Charlotte is interesting because I think they're deeper on the mound, as Philip said, and they could probably bring Gillespie back on short rest on Saturday, the conference pitcher of the year. Johnny says, I will pull for Charlotte. He says South Florida batted .293 against ECU this season compared to Charlotte's .211, and USF also has more effective left-handed pitchers available. He also says Gillespie could start on 3 days rest, but they have to beat the Pirates twice. So at the end of the day, I think it does matter more about how ECU is playing, because I think ECU, as we've already seen, is capable of beating both teams. But I think I would prefer South Florida. But either way, I think it comes down to the Pirates. Any thoughts, Bobby?
Yeah, I would say from where I like our odds or percentages better, I'd rather play South Florida. Honestly, from just a competitive standpoint, I'd rather beat Charlotte. I'd rather beat the in-state team.
Go ahead and end their season.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something sweet about ending these Charlotte. There was a lot of whining 49er fans on social media last night. I don't know if you guys saw it. JP Harrell says, who cares who it is? I just hope they go into extras. Yeah, best case scenario, you get a long game. That will be, around 4:30-ish today? Correct,
Yeah,
Phil?
something like that. I mean, same time as us yesterday, theoretically.
So, I mean, they could play into the evening, hopefully get a, rain delay, long game, and then they got to turn around and play around 12:30 because the first game has to start at 9 a.m. tomorrow in the case that there are 4 games tomorrow, which is possible. Although I think that's only happened one time in the history of the American. All right, so going back to Chuck's question, he says, would we rather see UTSA or Tulane? I think either one is going to be tough. Whichever team, if you get Tulane, you want them to ideally have a loss on Saturday. So I want to see at least UTSA win a game, if not, or FAU, whoever it is. Because you obviously got elimination game today. There's no guarantee UTSA even wins today. I want to see Tulane lose a game Saturday, but if you could get UTSA or FAU out of the losers bracket, they would be very worn down. So I would probably say them.
Yeah, I would say FAU of those 3 teams remaining would be the first one I want to play. And then assuming was the original question just comparing UTSA and Tulane?
Yeah, he said UTSA or Tulane.
Honestly, I'd rather play UTSA. I'm scared of playing Tulane in Clearwater. Tulane's had our number, and then with all the chirping that's happened within the last 2 years with UTSA, I'd rather send them home.
Well, and then also you got to think, Tulane's going to be playing win or go home the same way we are going to be playing. UTSA, there might be a little less drive there to win the baseball game. If they get down, they might be like, let's just survive this, get out of it, go home, because we're going to regional next weekend regardless of how this turns out.
Yeah, because, look, if you're in UTSA's shoe, they're going to be a 2 seed regardless. It's, if they get to Sunday to Friday is a pretty short turnaround for a regional. So, the last thing you want to do if you're UTSA is throw your best reliever for 5 innings or something crazy like that, or your best starter. Now, they may do it just because I know Hallmark and Cliff Godwin are not friends, and Hallmark may want to keep Cliff Godwin out of a regional. But I would venture to say you would get a team that is probably looking ahead a little bit to the next weekend. Although, you're still playing for a conference tournament championship. But yeah, best case scenario is probably FAU comes out of the losers bracket, although they could bring their ace back, Trey Beard. So look, no path is easy, and ECU's just got to be good on its end. All right, we gotta get a break in. We got some more questions as well. We'll get to on the other side, and we'll take a deeper look into the Pirates' chances going into the weekend. We'll also touch on some other sports as well. Basketball announced a new signing today, which we can hit on, and more. This is Hoist the Colors.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Are you ready to tackle those yard and garden projects? Come by East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, your local Coyote dealer, and check out their great selection of residential and commercial Coyote tractors. From zero-turn mowers to compact tractors to skid steer loaders, they've got you covered. Some with 0% financing for qualified buyers. Stop by your hometown Coyote dealer, East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, across from the Pitt County Fairgrounds, or online at ectfleet.com. East Carolina Tractor and Fleet. We dig dirt.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
At Parker's Barbecue, our family has been serving your family for 3 generations.
For that, we say thank you.
Blessing families every Thursday. Kids eat free all day. That's the Parker's way.
Legendary food served from our 3 locations. Always quick, always delicious. That's the Parker's way.
At Parker's, our mission is to impact our customers through Christ-like service in a way that feeds them both physically and spiritually. That is the Parker's way.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Remember, get the podcast of the show on the IBX Media app or where you get your podcasts.
Got it. You don't have to tell me twice. I remember it exactly.
Stephen Igo and Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Hey, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Friday. Pirates heading into the weekend 2-0 in the American Athletic Conference Tournament in Clearwater, Florida. Bobby Harwood is with us, brought to you by Basil's. Basil's also was our feature sponsor for our watch along last night. Man, their pizza is just amazing because, you know, it's like thick and filling. There's a lot of pizza out there, Bobby, that's not thick and filling. But Basil's this. I mean, we got 3 pizzas for 5 people, and what do we have? Like a pizza and a half, Phillip?
No, we had a pizza and 1 slice left, and Chance Scott ate one of them out the door. So technically, we walked out with only 1 full pizza left.
It was really good though, and appreciate Basil's. You guys can check them out for lunch or dinner. 1675 East Fire Tower Road. But they're not just pizza. They have pasta, they've got sandwiches, and they've got great salads.
Terrific salads. The hibachi skewer is what you've got me on, and I've gotten it the last 4 or 5 times I've gone.
It's the go-to. And amazing dip as well. If you want to get the beer cheese dip or the sausage dip, highly recommend those. So check out Basil's. Awesome spot. Appreciate their support of the program. All right. I'm kind of like, I'm glad that we have today off as far as covering ECU baseball because I'm kind of dragging a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie.
I tuned in for the last bit of the watch along after we got done celebrating my daughter's kindergarten graduation. And, I could just – I was only thinking how wiped I would be if I was in the studio, so I can imagine how wiped – especially after how late of a night Tuesday was. Wednesday was a drag for me because I'm normally in bed by like 10:30, and it was like 12:30.
And, look, I'm not going to sit here and be the guy that complains about talking about sports all day, but, like, it's kind of exhausting to sit here and talking to a microphone for like 4 hours straight, especially when you factor in the watch along with it. And I know that we're not like intently. I'm not having to talk the whole time like a play-by-play announcer, but you still have to be engaged. I still have to make sure I don't drop the F-bomb. So, it's like.
And you're thinking of prompts and trying to converse with the audience and all that kind of stuff.
Look, I will say,
how are you feeling, Philip?
I'm a little tired. I think the most exhausting part, honestly, is like the constant like. Okay, what do I have to do the rest of the weekend? Like, you're constantly, like, as the week plays out, you're calculating, okay, when do I have to be available Saturday? When do I have to be available Sunday? Who's covering games? All this, and, like, trying to, like, get it around your social life. Like, it's so much easier when it's just a regular weekend because just, like, you've known since November, okay, there's a 4 o'clock game on a Saturday and I've got to work it. Like, you don't mind. But when it's that what-if scenario, I think it just, like, it's mentally draining.
Speaking of what if and mentally draining, you are going to Charlotte as you have your William Byron hat on.
Just got a 4-year contract extension William Byron did this morning.
So is he going to get a W this weekend? And how are you going to handle this with the Pirates being in potentially the championship game? And what are you going to do if they win? And we got to do some content on Memorial Day.
So Dom is going to go to the party, the watch along, selection show party, and then because I don't want to be in town that early. After being in the infield, because you can't leave the infield right as the race is over. Like the haulers and stuff are going out. So I would be in, if we did a mid-afternoon show, I'd be in for that. As for Sunday, Sunday's always been kind of weird when they make the championship game because, like, you get in the infield and, like, the problem is, like, the guys that I go with, they have a TV, but naturally the Indy 500's on, and it's kind of a full day of racing. So, like, in the past, like, CJ came with me one year, and we just had to, like, stream it on our phones or whatever. But also in the past, like this year could be different because this year it's like do or die. Like in the years past years I've only like halfway cared because it's been like, well, this win or loss will not affect how we play next weekend in a regional. Like this game is kind of irrelevant. Whereas I feel like, this year it's extremely relevant. So I don't know. TBD. We'll see.
I have a NASCAR question for Philip.
Go for it.
All right. Team Penske has a little drama inside of it. What are your thoughts on the Cindric firing?
Yeah, so it sounds like, from what I understand, Ganassi, I guess, kind of told on him. This is all on the IndyCar side, by the way, not the NASCAR side. All these guys got fired. And this has just been one of those things where they've been caught cheating a few times. And I think it was one of those of we're not condoning it. The high-ups, they were the high-ups that got fired, but I'm sure Roger Penske probably knew about it. You know how this stuff goes, but anytime you get caught cheating and you get in trouble, somebody's going to have to kind of pay the price.
Somebody's got to take the fall.
Yeah, right. Somebody's got to take the fall. So this, I don't know if it was drama as much as it was, moral. Hey, we don't condone this. We're making a move, so it stinks that it happened, but they got such a good IndyCar program over there, multiple championships. I mean, Roger Penske's won everything under the sun. It seems like over the last few years with the 24 Hours of Daytona, winning the last 2 Cup championships, one of the last 2 Indy 500s. So they're going to be all right. Not really worried about it. The captain, there's a reason that's what his nickname is because he's going to figure it out.
Do you think it affects Austin Cindric, though, and because his dad is the one that got fired, one of the big head honchos?
Yeah, I'm sure internally, right? There's anytime you go through a family thing, not as much as it would affect maybe a 6-year-old because he's not living at home and he makes his own income. It's always going to affect the family dynamic. But at the end of the day, Austin's a professional and he knows, kind of what we just talked about. Somebody had to take the fall. His dad was the president. So I think he knows. Was it a little awkward maybe walking into the facility, seeing Roger Penske this week? Sure, but who knows? Has he even seen Roger Penske this week? Roger Penske owns Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He's probably been up in Indy all week. As far as it affecting his relationship with his crew chief or his spotter or his car chief, any of those guys, man, this has no effect on that. He's got a job to do. He knows he's competing for a championship. He knows he's in the playoffs because he's already won a race this year, and he's got his eye on the prize, and that is to win a championship. And, this organization knows how to win them. They've won them with the other two active drivers they have right now, as well as plenty of past drivers. So, yeah, man, he's locked, loaded in, and ready to go. I don't think it's going to affect his performance on Sunday night.
Cameron says Indy 500 is going to be amazing with all the controversy over the Team Penske cars. And he says the problem is Roger Penske owns IndyCar and Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Not a good look. So there's your racing talk for today. And again, if ECU does win, they win the championship, I should say. We will have, the plan is to have some sort of content on Monday. Otherwise, we're taking Memorial Day off. So we don't know exactly what we're doing, but it would not be, we would be at the watch party, which is, is it 11:30 or noon? I always get this mixed up.
I think it's noon. It could be 11:30. Anyway, it would be going on at some point during the show.
We would do some sort of reaction show later that afternoon. So stay tuned for that if the Pirates win the American Tournament title. So we've got a question from Matt. He says, who is available for the first game Saturday? Everyone except Norby and Pruitt. I think that would be probably right. I mean, I wouldn't even rule out Norby. He only threw 60-something pitches on Tuesday. He could pitch on Saturday. If it's me, though, guys, I'm trying to win that game and not use Norby or Ethan Young.
My thought, I was actually thinking on this today. My thought was, because Tuesday I said I thought they would go Lance Williams and Sean Jenkins yesterday. Well, they went Lance Williams, Brad Pruitt. I think you go Sean Jenkins to start the first game because you have some leeway being in the winner's bracket.
Right.
That if you want to throw Norby on Saturday, I think it's the second game. I don't think you throw him the first game unless it's in a short relief role so you can still have him for Sunday.
I agree with that.
I'd say Jenkins, Zayak, Wallace.
Yeah, I mean, I think you start either Zayak or Jenkins. What do you think about starting Zayak and bringing Jenkins in as first reliever?
I wouldn't hate that.
I probably like that better than starting Jenkins, to be honest.
If you can get 2 out of Zayak and then get 5 out of Jenkins, 2 out of Colby Wallace.
Yeah, and look, I mean, a lot of it will depend on who you're playing, what the matchups are, but I think for sure we're going to see Jenkins pitching that game. It's just a matter of in what capacity.
Well, then, I mean, Lance didn't throw that many pitches yesterday. I mean, if you need him for an inning.
He threw 48, yeah, so he could probably come back for an inning. Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, to be honest, you're in a great spot. I mean, this is as dumb as this format is, and I hate it. When you do win the first 2 games, you are just in a phenomenal spot with your pitching. And if you could find a way to win that first game without using Norby and Young, assuming the blister with Ethan Young has healed or is in the process of healing, you could almost ride the 2 Ethans and even bring Pruitt back for an inning on Sunday. And you would essentially have and you haven't mentioned Jake Hunter. You know, Jake Hunter yesterday throws 28 pitches. He will be available Saturday. You could be in a spot, again, if you win your first game Saturday, where you have your best arms, or at least some of them, available for Sunday. And at that point, you just take your shot, man. And that's why you would ideally want Tulane, like Tulane will want ECU to have lost a game, because it's just going to deplete your pitching that much further.
Here's the thing. If you go 3-0, right, and you get to Sunday, you just play a normal week of baseball. Just your Friday game got moved up to Thursday. You played Tuesday, and then you had 3 games in the weekend.
With more rest in between.
With more rest in between. So, yeah, there's a huge – if you go 3-0, I mean, this is not even – I mean, yeah, it's conversation because we don't have, like 3 set starters. But it's not any more of a conversation, I think, than it is, on a normal weekend conference series.
It is crazy how it works out. And then if you lose one game, you're just like you're playing the most games you've ever played.
Yeah.
There's no in between. It's ridiculous. Josh Thomas says he's heading down to Clearwater tonight to cheer on the boys. I do have to say the Tulane and ECU fans are always well represented in Clearwater. So if that is the championship game, it'll be, I say boisterous, but boisterous compared to what it usually is in Clearwater with 7 people there.
Honestly, I didn't realize until seeing the in-game interview of the Tulane game yesterday how many fans Tulane actually brings. That was pretty impressive. You always see purple. I feel like I always see purple, even non-ECU games down there, but I didn't realize how many Tulane baseball fans there were.
Shout out to Jacob Starlin, by the way, who was on our watch along Tuesday and then was behind home plate for the game yesterday, just drinking a beer.
Incredible.
True Pirate, Jacob Starlin. If the Pirates win, I'm going to get him on the show next week to recap his experience. Jack Dover says you start Zayak, and if the game gets sideways, you can push Jenkins to the second game. JP Harrell says tell Ethan Young to go stick that blister in the salt water today. Got to have him. Jack says they are not allowed on the beach. We don't know that, Jack.
I was gonna ask you or text you during the watch along, but I didn't want to jinx it and dare one of you to ask again for a second time in a row.
I did not ask for the second time in a row. I could tell Cliff was just like kind of emotionally drained. I think the whole taking the record and sharing that moment with Coach O, which, again, congrats to Cliff, who has poured his heart and soul into his alma mater as a coach. So, nobody's more deserving. But, yeah, I was like, look, we had some fun Tuesday. I was like, we'll let them get to bed tonight and enjoy this one. So, Pirates win. They're 2-0, 428 wins in 11 seasons. Really 10 seasons for Cliff because 2020 was cut short after 17 games. So, how fast he was able to accomplish this, pretty amazing stuff from Coach Godwin. All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We'll continue on. If you guys got any more baseball bullet points, we'll hit on that. We'll also take a look around some of the other conferences, see what's catching our eye, and we'll talk about some playoffs. Man, what is going on with the Carolina Hurricanes? They have fallen completely flat in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then we'll discuss what's going on in the NBA as well. This is Hoist the Colors on a Friday.
Hey, it's Jim Wells again with Wells Roofing and Gutters here in the beautiful community of Lindale, Bedford. At Wells Roofing and Gutters, we believe in quality first, and that's why we use CertainTeed shingles, which are manufactured in Oxford, North Carolina, a local company. In the event you ever do have a claim or a problem with your roof system, they're local and they come and take care of us in a timely manner. We could leave off some accessories and we could certainly save money, but we believe at Wells Roofing and Gutters in installing the correct way per manufacturer requirements, and we warranty your roof both in-house and also with our supplier, who is CertainTeed. For a job Wells done, no shortcuts taken, and a good quality job on your home, give us a call today, 252-227-8403. We also offer financing, 12 months, no interest, no payments.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
We're live with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
And welcome back, Hoist the Colors on a Friday. I wanted to get into a couple things I meant to bring up earlier this week. And then we'll talk some playoffs. All right. So we have a new basketball signing officially. We shared this on the Hoist the Colors message boards last week, at least, maybe before then. Either way, the Pirates have signed an Aussie, Patrick Darcy, D''ARCY. I don't know the official pronunciation there. Either way, he comes to the Pirates from Australia's top pro league, the NBL, where he was the youngest player to hit the floor this season. Essentially, it was explained to me that it's almost like the NBA G League where they have a two-way contract. They can send guys that are developmental players on and off the NBA roster. It sounds like DRC was part of that in the NBL with the Adelaide's 36ers. Didn't play a whole lot, but he's only 19. He was on the team with former Memphis star Kendrick Davis and some other former NBA players. So, he's been around professionals. He will be another freshman. He is a proven three-point shooter in Australia. How that translates to Division I basketball will remain to be seen. He's listed at 6'6", around 175 pounds. It's explained to me kind of like a 3-and-D guy. So another young shooter, it seems like. We saw this with Vito Perkovic, the 6'10" shooter, who also is coming as an international player. So I don't know. I mean, you're getting shooting, but you're getting guys who have not played at the D1 level, Bobby, as far as at least this guy has been a part of a pro league, but another young guy.
Yeah, I think that's where I land on this. The addition of DRC, I'm going to call him Patty because
let's just call him Patty.
Yeah. If we already had a go-to scorer on this roster, I would love this ad. If we didn't have so many freshman additions this year, in addition to Bailey and Felton, I know when we were talking pre-show, you included Kaysen. I don't think I include Kaysen just because he played so much last year or a decent amount.
He at least has logged some minutes.
Right. But with the inexperience on this roster, that's where it doesn't excite me. This isn't the move in my eyes. Again, if we have a proven go-to scorer, love this move. I think that's just what we're missing. I'm concerned how we're going to score points next year. To me, off the hoof, this roster overall looks worse than it was last year. There's not what's the right word I'm looking for? Proven scoring on this roster right now. And when you add that to an increased difficulty of schedule, which I love, I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, look, you look at the roster, and when we did our roster breakdown a few weeks ago, I think we had the tally at 34 points per game returning at the Division I level from a year ago. So, you just don't have proven score. And as I've said a lot of times, you're projecting a lot with this roster, and that is a risk. I mean, you would think with some of the finances we heard that you could get more proven score. Maybe it's just too much. Maybe you had to spend too much to retain Jordan Riley. But, you're now going to the season, and it's possible that many of these guys are hits. But also, if you look at ECU's recent track record of high school recruits, hasn't exactly been all sunshine and rainbows. So, I don't know if you can really count on this to land. But you got Dahi Quinn, who's a prep product from Tabor Academy. You add DRC to that mix. Perkovic, 6'10" shooter. Those are three freshmen. You also bring back LaDonte Felton, a redshirt freshman, and you bring back Tybo Bailey, who will be a sophomore but didn't play a lot last year. Reed Kaysen, who played some as well. But that's 6 guys who really, like, I have no clue what to expect from those 6 guys. And that's almost 50% of your scholarship players. And then you look at the transfers you brought in. You know what you're going to get from Imaguro, and you know what you're going to get from Jordan Riley, and I think Jay Shane, Trayvon LeBeau. Isaiah Mbing is a solid depth addition at guard as a transfer. Eli Delorier, we don't really know what to expect from him, although he was highly recruited out of high school, didn't play a lot at Providence. So there's just a lot of unknown with this roster, more unknown than you would like given the fact you're coming off 19 wins. And, to me, you had a pretty big surge of funding to try to get some talent. I don't know, Philip, your thoughts?
It feels like we knew we needed to add shooters, so we went out and added a bunch of guys that could be shooters. So if they all pan out, you look like the Celtics. You're taking like 60% of your shots are from beyond the arc. You're just raining them in. But do all, 4 guys we've gone out that we think are shooters, not proven shooters, but we think are shooters, that could go really, really bad. It could go really, really good. And outside of them, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I said it when we went over the basketball roster a couple weeks ago. This roster, to me, is a phenomenal roster prior to the shot clock era. You have a true 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You have depth at those positions, but you don't have a proven scorer. So you try and work the ball inside, try and get a shot, and then if it doesn't happen, you pull up to the top and reset. I think it's a mature roster. I think it's a high basketball IQ roster, but is it a good enough roster to score in the 30-second shot clock era? That's what worries me. I don't know if they can play at a fast pace. And right now in college basketball, you've got to be able to play at a fast pace to be successful unless you're Tony Bennett Virginia team from 10 years ago.
I think that's what, you mentioned fast pace there, Philip, and we talked about it. Shorts' MO and what he wants to do doesn't seem to be fast pace. He adjusted to fast pace last year because of the way the roster was built and the lack of shooting ability. So I wonder if that's what he's going for. I think with Delorier, what concerns me too is you're relying so much on a guy that averaged 1 and 1, 1 point and 1 rebound at Providence. That was 12 and 20 last year. He didn't play for a 12 and 20 Providence team. Granted, Big East is better, but this isn't the Providence team from 2 or 3 years ago before the guy left to go to Georgetown. This was a bad Providence team last year, and that's where he's putting all his eggs in a basket.
Yeah, and still, you look at Jordan Riley and Jay Shane Woodard, I would say they're best in transition. So, they're going to have to run to get scoring from those guys. So it's just a lot of unknown with the roster as it stands now on paper. Corey Calker, really good JUCO point guard. How is that going to translate to Division I level? And look, maybe it all comes together. Maybe it looks glorious when Patrick D'Arcy is just raining threes and Vito Perkovic is shooting 50% from three-point range. But there's just a lot of unknowns.
And we saw how long it took Jay Shane Woodard to adjust to the Division I level, and he was a really good JUCO point guard. So
excited about the schedule, and I really like some of these additions, but I think it's just a lot of unknowns with this roster. All right, the other thing I was going to bring up, we don't have to dive too deep into this, but the American did hire a new chief commercial officer, Brian Kalka, earlier this week. Tim Pernetti announced that to create a new business division, American Rise, standing for Revenue, Innovation, Sports, and Entertainment. And look, I've been critical of the American in a lot of ventures. I think Pernetti's the real deal, and I like that he's going kind of outside the box here and starting this early. I haven't followed other conference moves, but this seems like Pernetti's kind of on the cutting edge, Philip, as far as trying to add some, the business, because it's such a business right now. You kind of have to get in front of this thing with all these changes.
You do. It feels like conference realignment has tapered off, but I'm telling you, we're at halftime. It's going to get worse. And what's going to happen is when this next realignment happens, it might cause that split in football. And I think that the TV deal for the American, the Mountain West, the MAC, the CUSA, and the Sun Belt is even going to be less then than it is now. Therefore, you're going to have to find other ways to generate revenue. Tim Pernetti has been open with he is okay selling the naming rights to the conference. He very much understands that this is about to become, very soon, an adapt or die. There is going to be a bigger gap between the haves and the have-nots than there is right now. The group of 5 teams could very easily become the poverty that is the true mid-majors if they're not careful, the FCS schools. And making this move proactively is the best way to keep that from happening. Yes, you might not be playing big-time college football. You might not have games on CBS, so you've got to find other ways. You've got to find creative ways. You have to come out and be an innovator if you want to keep your athletic departments operating in the black, and this is him proving that he has devotion to every team in this conference.
So, again, big move by the American. Kalka has served as the Senior Vice President of Global Partnerships at BSE Global. Also spent time, there at the Barclays Center working with the Nets, Long Island Nets, and New York Liberty. Also spent some time with the Yankees, so he has been around. So excited about this move from the American. All right, we'll get our final break in. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show after this.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your roof is a vital part of protecting your home and family from dangerous storms and hurricanes. At Assist Roofing, we install and maintain metal roofing that provides precise protection. Add value to your home while lowering utility costs with a fortified roof to last a lifetime. With 0% financing, grants, and Energy Star Green Roofing tax credit available. Call us to schedule a free consultation so you can weather any storm with confidence.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
If you are interested in living longer and living stronger, Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine is accepting new patients for a limited time. Finding a caring physician can be a challenge. Dr. Billy Smith is board certified in physical medicine and lifestyle medicine and has been practicing in the area for many years. Call for an appointment now to Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine, 252-364-1108 in Greenville. That number again is 252-364-1108.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Pirates play here. This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Stephen Igo.
Yes, that was so good.
On 94.3, The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment, Hoist the Colors. Bobby Harvard hanging out. Brought to you by Basil's today. Philip Pilkington behind the glass. Wrapping up a long week, going into Memorial Day weekend. Pirates are 2-0, heading to the American Athletic Conference Tournament semifinals. Stone Hands is in the comments section and asked, any rumors if the two hurt pitchers will be back next year? He's asking about Brett Antolik and Ryan Towers. No rumors as far as expected departure at this point, Stoneham. So that's all I got. I haven't heard much, but I would anticipate them being back. But this is college sports. You never know. Carolina Hurricanes are down 0-2.
A disaster.
After 2 home games, have they been outscored, 9-1? What was the final?
I think they got in 2.
10-2.
10-2.
5-0 and 5-0 last night and 5-2 game 1 on Tuesday.
So what's going on?
The Panthers are a better version of the Hurricanes, essentially. I mean, they are beating them at their own game. Last night was super frustrating, as I was kind of telling y'all. Tuesday night, I didn't get to watch super intently because we were doing the watch-along. And so I was really just hopeful, hey, maybe we can get game 2, go down to Florida, maybe come back to Carolina tied 2-2 would be best-case scenario. I did not expect us to win this series. I really wanted to play Toronto instead. And then after they scored that goal in the first minute last night, I knew the series is over. And I turned it off last night in full transparency. I was just not going to waste time watching. I actually switched it over to watch the end of the NC State Clemson game in the ACC tournament.
Who won that? Do you know?
Clemson did.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was a heck of a game.
That was a heck of a game. Yes. Yeah, it was awesome. And so what was most discouraging is it just seemed. I know this is not the case because they're giving effort in the Eastern Conference Finals, but it just seemed like there was no heart involved at all or passion in the game. And there were times late where they did look to get back into their game a little bit, but Florida's just too good.
Yeah, I watched game 1 a little closer. Sorry, I got to go really quick. I just thought game 1, you guys, it was like one of those things y'all had the long layoff because you won the previous series of 5. You just kind of looked flat, but it was like, oh, okay, series isn't over. They just look flat. They'll be back game 2. And last night, you guys just didn't even look like you belonged on the ice with them.
So the series, it's over?
I think so.
No shot. I mean, we know the Canes struggle on the road.
Put a fork in them. They're done.
Yeah.
Do they win a game?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
So the Panthers are going to be or trying to be the back-to-back champions. In the West, you will have, obviously, game 2 of Edmonton, which made it last year before falling to the Panthers. Edmonton is at Dallas. Dallas is up 1-0 after scoring 5 goals in the third period. So now that the Canes are on the way out, seemingly, Bobby, what is your interest level still with the Western Conference?
Not as much because kind of like college baseball for the most part. Like when the Pirates are in it, I'm watching almost every game. Whereas, when they're not, I watch some of the prime games that have piqued my interest. But part of it is games start a little bit later, especially in Edmonton. But to me, of these 4 teams that are left, Canes are no doubt number 4 in terms of quality of team compared to those 2 Western Conference. I think it would be a heck of a Stanley Cup final with either of those teams in the West against Florida.
So we'll keep an eye on that. In the NBA, we got game 2 of Pacers-Knicks tonight. The Knicks, we'll see how they respond after a historic loss. Did you watch any of that game the other day where
I did not.
The Pacers finished 7 of 7 in regulation to force overtime. It was incredible.
One of my best friends is a Knicks fan, and I woke up to a text from him the next morning, and so I had to watch the highlights because his text was essentially like, "It's unreal what just happened," and I looked at the replay, and it really was.
We talked about it, and it was kind of funny, Philip, because when we talked about it on whatever day, all these days are run together. It's been a week. Whatever day they won, the Pacers won. The next morning we talked about on the show. I was like, it was really more Pacers than Knicks, and I was listening to NBA Radio on Sirius XM, and they were saying the exact same thing. Because to finish the game 7 of 7 from 3-point range over your last 7 shots, plus the shot from Halliburton, I still think the Knicks are okay. It's just they got to win tonight, man. You got to bounce back tonight. And I'm curious too. Do the Pacers come out with that same sense of urgency? Because a lot of times in this situation, when you're the dog and you still game 1, you don't have that urgency for game 2. So I am curious to see how tonight goes because I think we could see the Knicks win big, but also I worry about the hangover.
You do. You deja vu to the last round with Boston, New York, right? Boston kind of came out, looked okay first 40 or so minutes of game 2 after blowing game 1, and then they still went on to blow game 2. So I think this is one of those things where, though, you're not going to know 5 minutes in, right? Like, if New York comes out flat, like, you could know 5 minutes in, but I think you won't really know until this one's over as to whether or not New York's in the right headspace, because I want to see how they play with the lead. I want them to get up big and see if they're able to hold it, or, when Indiana hits a couple shots, is it like, oh, here we go again?
Did y'all see that stat the Pacers put out there? Since 1996-97, teams that have trailed by 7+ in the final 50 seconds of the fourth quarter or overtime in the playoffs are 4 and 1,702. The Pacers have 3 of those 4 wins this year.
Wow.
That's insane,
and
man.
teams all time in the playoffs to be down by 9 with 50 seconds to go, where we're 0 and 1,400 and something, and now they're 1 and 1,400 and something.
All right, we got 30 seconds left. I'm going to read the 16 host sites projected as of this morning. You guys tell me where ECU ends up if they win the championship. Texas, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, North Carolina, LSU, Georgia, Auburn, Oregon, Oregon State, Coastal Carolina, Florida State, Clemson, UCLA, Southern Miss, Tennessee, Georgia Tech. Where will the Pirates go if they win the American Conference Championship?
Conway.
I'm going to go Georgia.
I'm going to say Clemson. I think the Pirates are going to be the 3 seed.
3 seed? Not even a 4.
If you are a host and you get ECU as a 4, you're going to be very upset. It's possible. I don't know what the bubble looks like. I'm going to say ECU is a 3.
Usually the top 1 or 2, or the last 1 or 2 threes are conference champions. They're not large teams.
We'll see. It could go either way. Tulane's been a 4 and a 3 the past couple years. All right, we got to get out of here. We'll see you Monday, maybe. At least Tuesday, 12 noon. Have a good weekend. Enjoy Memorial Day, everybody.